Major breaking news this morning as the ACC is expanding, and it is shocking, the details coming out of ACC Expansion. Let's get right to work on this story because I'll tell you, we have really talked at length about SMU's role in this, and I think it is significant. The ACC this morning voted to expand with Stanford, Cal, and SMU. SMU will take zero TV and media distribution dollars for 9 years, according to our sources. 9 years with zero TV media distribution dollars. Stanford and Cal will each get $12 million a year. And obviously, this is just groundbreaking, shifting, shocking, major league movement in college football. The ACC, I think, did something today that was required for them to survive, because one of the things we've talked an awful lot about is what's going to happen with Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. We have tried as many ways as we know how to understand how Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina will exit the ACC. You know that the ACC has a rock-solid, locked grant of rights through 2036. That requires a $120 million buyout, but also a vote of the other league's members for that institution to leave. Now we are told this morning that a large part of ACC expansion is related to Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina exiting the ACC within 5 years on a negotiated basis, which is likely the only way that those three schools would get out. It is a foregone conclusion that it is now when, not if. So a significant change is coming from the leadership in the ACC on messaging about Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson leaving the ACC. And yes, it's huge that the ACC added Stanford and Cal with SMU. But there is no doubt the bigger storyline, the headline, the shocker out of ACC expansion is that within 5 years, the ACC believes Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina will leave the ACC. Jake, is that good or bad for the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. It's not great for the ACC. I mean, you're basically adding these three teams in an effort to backfill a future departure of your conference. And no, in my opinion, Stanford, Cal, and SMU don't have anything on those three brands. And I think that, again, we've talked so much about how, brands like UNC and Clemson and Florida State, those are all potential Big Ten brands. Obviously Clemson and UNC are no doubt about it. Florida State, I think, is a pain in everyone's side. So where they end up, I'm not exactly sure. Probably the Big Ten, but you can't tell me they're not going to chase the SEC. So to me, I look at this situation and I say, yes, this is great. The ACC is expanding, but this type of expansion, in my opinion, is definitely different than what we saw with the Big 12, the Big 10, or the SEC. The SEC took Texas and Oklahoma because they saw an opportunity and they saw two brands that fit into their conference nicely. That made a lot of sense for the SEC. It was not about future survival. It wasn't about, hey, we're going to lose other brands in the future, so we need to backfill. No, we just saw Texas and Oklahoma, nice fit in our conference. Okay, great. And that was the same logic that the Big 12 and the Big 10, in my opinion, used as well. Adding nameplates to your conference that bring value with your TV partners, value to your current member institutions, like all of that made a lot of sense in terms of expansion. This side of the ACC, in my opinion, is quite different. This is, hey, we're going to add the remnants of the Pac-12 with Stanford and Cal, and we need SMU to take no money for 9 years to facilitate it, essentially, with our member institutions. And, by the way, we needed ESPN's help a little bit, too. So to me, this is basically just the ACC being like, hey, we understand what's coming in 5 years. We're going to do everything we can to fortify ourselves because we don't really see another nameplate institution leaving its conference inside of the next 5 years. Because if you thought that any brand you want to point to in the Big Ten, like if you thought as an example Nebraska, let's say, or just some nameplate Big Ten brand was going to leave that conference and you'd have the opportunity to bring them in, you wouldn't have done this. And so I think the ACC is essentially saying, hey, this was our last best chance to backfill what we think is going to happen inside of 5 years. And I can't say I blame them, but I'm not sure how all of this is going to work out. Obviously, there's going to be scheduling issues. They're going to have to figure all that out. You're going to have to figure out, money and how all of that sort of works together. We've never really seen a conference go from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I think there's a lot of question marks here.
Well, one of the details that we have been told this morning is that the ACC has a travel schematic in place now to ensure that their current members do not end up going to the West Coast every year. Those details are pending, but my guess is you're going to see that schools don't go to the West Coast every year to play Stanford and Cal. My guess is you're going to see that every 2 or 3 years. Teams will go out. I think you are going to see that there are going to be neutral site big games depending on the quality of Stanford and Cal. I think basketball becomes an integral part of the equation in the ACC because of the travel. But I think this story with FSU, Clemson, and North Carolina is a big one. And the question is, and this is what we've reduced this to for weeks and months now, where does Florida State fit in? Because I have no problem believing that the SEC would add Clemson. I know for a fact, as we've reported from sources on this show for several months, that the Big Ten values North Carolina at a very high level. I have no idea where Florida State fits in. Does Clemson and Florida State belong in the SEC? Potentially. But are you telling me that Florida is going to lay down and allow Florida State to join the SEC? Maybe the SEC adds them anyway, but I highly doubt that. Why would you tweak Florida to get Florida State? It'd be different if Florida State was a national power that wins on a regular basis. But frankly and bluntly, Florida State does not win, especially in football, which is what this ACC expansion was so focused on from a revenue perspective. All of these moves and deals were cut to generate more football revenue for those that win games of consequence on the football field. ACC expansion with Stanford and Cal and SMU was not certainly pointed at basketball. It is directly pointed at winning games on the football field. That is your quickest ticket to bigger revenue in the ACC. It does not make a lot of sense to me that the SEC would add Florida State with Florida there. I've been told so many times by sources in college football and television that Florida is a passionate no on Florida State to the SEC. And I get that. But having said that, USC was a passionate no to Oregon joining the Big Ten, and here we are today. So anything is possible. But I can tell you unequivocally, Florida State's a no in the Big Ten from what I've been told, unless something dramatically changes. So I don't know where Florida State's home is. Clemson and North Carolina can write their own ticket. I don't think you can say the same thing for Florida State. And I think it's a huge part of this deal again this morning that the ACC is planning to lose Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina within 5 years. That is not a long time. And note, it's within 5 years. It's not 5 years from now. It's within 5 years that the ACC is planning on not having Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. And one of the other things I think is so shocking about this is that the ACC was able to flip North Carolina State to a yes. And why that is significant, North Carolina and North Carolina State generally act in lockstep. Bubba Cunningham has talked about that. Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director at North Carolina, has talked about that. Now, Bubba's also said that he's always going to do what's best for North Carolina, and that's clearly what happened here. But it's a little surprising that North Carolina State voted in opposition, direct opposition to North Carolina. Those two, I think, very much like Arizona and Arizona State, recognize that when they act in concert together as a two-person vote, they're far more influential than they are when they act in opposition. And now it would seem that North Carolina, who put out a statement last night vehemently opposing ACC expansion with Stanford, Cal, and SMU, is now directly opposed to where North Carolina State is. And that is perhaps the most surprising part of ACC expansion. I think that adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU is the understory here. It is secondary to the fact that the ACC believes they're going to lose Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson within 5 years, and that North Carolina and North Carolina State are now not acting in concert.
Yeah, and I think that the Pac-12's lack of foresight, lack of ability to see the future is clearly shining in this conversation, because the ACC saw what happened in the Pac-12 and said, hey, like, as soon as, Carol Folt and USC got off the phone and reached out to Kevin Warren in the Big Ten, like, dude, like, that was the end. And we know that our member institutions are going to do what's best for them. And we understand that. We don't love it, but we understand it. And I think that, again, like I've said, if you're gonna expand, it's not always when you want to. It's when you have the opportunity to, because you can't just go, to the Big Ten, let's say, and reach out to one of their member institutions and try to get them to jump ship. That's unethical. That's a bad look. And so you basically, if you're the ACC, had an opportunity to add back what you could, so you took that opportunity. But I just think we're in the bigger picture outside of the ACC, like for college athletics, we're seeing something that I think everyone's talked about for a long time and thought maybe it could happen, but now it's actually happening, where it's like, hey, the fear of your conference burning down and dissolving is a stronger force than adding SMU just on premise alone, right? Like 2 years ago, the ACC wouldn't even acknowledge SMU's existence.
Not even 2 years ago, probably 2 months ago.
2 months ago, sure. But
Right.
now we're in a place where they're like, hey, yeah, we need to add these member institutions because we know that these schools are probably going to leave, and we don't want to be hung out to dry.
It is. That's the shocking part. This is not good for college sports. And I think you look at adding Stanford and Cal, this is just from a logistical standpoint, this is really stupid for Stanford and Cal. And I think the ACC is going to leverage Stanford and Cal for the revenue and the income and the ATM machine that those two universities represent. Stanford and Cal are going to travel a significant amount of miles here. It is bad for their student athletes. It is bad for the academics. It is bad for on-field performance. There's nothing good about this for Stanford and Cal. Nothing. It is a mistake. It is foolish. It is selfish. It is just, in my opinion, this is really, really dumb by Stanford and Cal. And I understand you want to stay P5 and you want to make that bread, but then what good is that fucking endowment that I'm tired of hearing about at Stanford? Oh, we have $1 billion. Okay, congratulations. What did you get out of it? You got bad logistics for your students. You got bad logistics for their mental health. You got bad logistics for winning games on the court and on the field. So congratulations, you're a sacrificial lamb to the bigger brands in the ACC. What did Stanford and Cal get out of this? Did you get easier access to the NCAA tournament? No, you didn't. You didn't. Did you get better relationships out of it? Not than you had in the Pac-12. You didn't. I don't understand what the win here for Stanford and Cal is.
Yeah, I think it's singularly P5 status. That's
but
it.
But what does that mean if you're only getting $12 million?
Oh, I agree. I mean, you what Stanford and Cal have done here is they've said, hey, we just want to keep, and we should stop saying P5, P4 status. That's the only thing that this gets you. I mean, again, because what you just said, right? You're only getting $12 million. It's not like, you're getting the proposed Apple deal money, right? Apple was willing to pay you more than this is going to get you. So this is where I say, okay, if you're Stanford, what's the game plan moving forward? Because all your money is essentially tied up in the playoffs of basketball and football.
Yeah, and I think one of the other parts of this that you really have to look at now is what's next for the Mountain West. Because now, if you are Washington State and you are Oregon State, what did we report earlier this week? That Scott Barnes at Oregon State, and the leadership at Oregon State were aggressively pursuing avenues to remain a P5 contender.
Yeah.
That's dead. It's over. This idea that you can somehow keep the Pac-12 as a P5, that's done. That brand is dead. You cannot have, and we can sit here and we can fabricate and hallucinate about, oh man, if we merge with the Mountain West. No, that's over with. There's no merging now. You're going to Oregon State and Washington State. And maybe I just am reading this incorrectly, and people that we talk to are completely wrong. Oregon State and Washington State have to join the Mountain West.
So what choice do you have? I mean, you've lost the leverage.
The AAC is not an option.
Yeah, I mean, I again, like, dude, Stanford and Cal are only getting $12 million from the ACC. Like, Oregon State and Washington State going to the AAC just is not viable. There's just not enough money there, and it's not worth your time. And by the way, I think, dude, going into the Mountain West for Oregon State and Washington State, yeah, I get that that's a step down for you status-wise, but ultimately that's going to bring you more reliability. And I'd be really curious to see, based on the money that you weren't making in the Pac-12, just how much lower the profit margin actually is. Because you can't tell me that you were making hand over fist in the Pac-12, because I know you weren't. You made enough money to renovate Reeser. You made enough money to, do some nice things, but you can't tell me that you're avoiding the Mountain West because of solely just the money. Because at the end of the day, that TV contract's going to get renegotiated.
Yeah, I don't think most people understand that when you add teams, like the ACC had to renegotiate their grant of rights with ESPN, with their TV distribution partners, to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU.
Right.
The Mountain West will have to do the same thing. And undoubtedly, there will be a bump in pay there from CBS and Fox. To what level, we don't know. You would think that opposite of Stanford and Cal, Oregon State and Washington State will come in as full share revenue members. I just don't know what other choice you have. I'll go back to Washington State first here. They're broke. They athletically are insolvent. They're in a massive hole. You look at the debt load for the Research Stadium rebuild at Oregon State. Like, these are critical financial decisions. Are you viable as an athletic department? Well, Cal's taken $12 million in an athletic department that is also, by most account, insolvent. They're broke. They are in massive debt for Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. You have a huge travel bill coming your way. The other part of the ACC expanding with Stanford and Cal that Washington State and Oregon State will not have to worry about is the influx of human cost. You have to add human infrastructure at Stanford and Cal because you have to have more tutors. You have to have more athletic support. You have to have more online infrastructure to support longer road trips, more time away from Stanford and Cal. And ask yourself this about Stanford and Cal. And I know if you've watched this show for any amount of time in the last 6 weeks, you're tired of hearing me say this. How are you supposed to be an athlete, a college football player, a college basketball player, and you're away from the Stanford campus for 10 days at a time? How are you supposed to achieve academically, which is the only reason you go to Stanford?
Yeah.
Because let's get something straight right now. You don't make Stanford your first choice if you're looking to play in the NBA or the NFL.
Facts.
You make Stanford your first choice if you're looking to play as a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a researcher, that's why you go to Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to achieve at the highest heights of academics at an institution like Stanford or Cal that's already incredibly difficult to do that at? It's so difficult to achieve academically if you're hundo P on academics. If your entire focus is A+ every test all the way, you're probably failing at that. So what do you say to a Stanford basketball player, a Stanford football player that's now got all of this extra travel that, like in football, it's much less because let's say you're playing Florida State on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, well, that game now fucks up your body clock because if it's a noon kickoff, Eastern time, let's say, that's 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Bad for your physical, bad for your mental, bad for your sleep schedule. You leave on probably Thursday. You stay there Friday, and then you come back Saturday night. Oh, That's a red-eye flight. That's right. So let's say the game, if it's a nighttime game, you're a red-eye flight. So can you play night games on the East Coast? You're probably going to have to. But do you see the travel logistical questions here?
Yeah.
And the mental health that we're talking about? I don't know what you say to Stanford students and Cal students. I don't. Now, a Washington State and Oregon State athlete does not have this issue when they join the Mountain West. We're talking about going to Fresno. We're talking about going to Boise. We're talking about going to Reno.
I'm talking about not leaving the Pacific time zone for the most part.
This is wild to me. All right. Less of us, more of you. The big story this morning, breaking news out of the ACC. The ACC is expanding. They will be adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. SMU will get, this is wild, no TV media distribution money, according to our sources in television, for 9 years.
9
years. They will get all of the other revenue distribution, as will Stanford and Cal. They will get college football playoff money. They will get NCAA tournament money. They will get partnership, all of that stuff. They'll get all of that money. Revenue streams outside of things like the revenue from the conference championship branding rights or whatever.
Right.
They're going to get that. Simply, SMU will take no TV or media distribution money for 9 years. For 9 years. Stanford and Cal will each get $12 million per season. The ACC was able to flip NC State, which is stunning, because North Carolina went out of their way last night to release a statement of absolute negativity and a hard no against ACC expansion with Stanford and Cal. And what did they cite? Travel logistics.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
The bigger lead here, the ACC is planning Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina will leave the ACC by negotiated exit is the term that was described to me within 5 years. Now, that's a very deliberate term. That's not something you just pull off the top of your head.
No.
They are negotiating an exit. And what that tells me is we are going to get industry realignment. TV, media partners, advertising partners, conference, NCAA partnerships are going to have a significant role in realignment and conference expansion. I think that's how the grant of rights in the ACC will be broken. I think that's how Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina will get out of the ACC. You knew it wasn't simply going to be JP Morgan Chase is going to give us $120 million and we're going to get our way out of the grant of rights.
To do what exactly?
You knew, because, not to be redundant, but Florida State has very limited options here.
Yeah.
So I think you knew it was going to take an industry action, and that's what this is being described to us as. A negotiated exit.
Yeah.
For Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. And I think North Carolina and Notre Dame will bring the Big Ten to 20 teams. That's my feeling on it. That's the feeling that I get.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Stanford, Cal, and SMU are expected to have votes today or tomorrow to accept formal invitations from the ACC, which will go out today.
Glad we got this done before kickoff.
Yeah, the formatics are simply now being executed.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's get your thoughts in on this. As always, the comment section, college football on this show in general, is presented by our good friends at Bucked Up Energy, the official energy product of the Monty Show. Time to roll.
Okay.
Let's do this thing. It is 6:30 Pacific. It is 9:30 Eastern, and I'm ready for a mental lift. That's why I turned a buckshot from Bucked Up. 200 milligrams of caffeine, but this is going to give you a mental bump. It's like you connected booster cables to your epidemiology glands and shit in your brain.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah, I can feel my frontal cortex. That's not true. But anyway, Bucked Up gives you 200 milligrams of caffeine in their buckshot. And the thing, yeah, it does. You know what? Vitality. Well, I don't have that problem. I have the reverse problem. After 4 hours, I should probably see a doctor.
Right.
But my point is, Bucked Up's going to get you going. I love my guys at Bucked Up. I understand so many people have been saying, hey, Buckshot's always sold out at buckedup.com. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And if you go to buckedup.com, you can get watermelon. Now, this is just my opinion. Watermelon's the best flavor of Buckshot.
Water
Ice. Watermelon is the best flavor of Buckshot. It's available at buckedup.com. Use the promo code Monty20 to get 20% off your purchase at buckedup.com. Dale Donut says, here is the reality. This will blow up the ACC. SMU could very well find themselves in the same boat as the last 23 years and never made a dime, but in fact cost them money in the long run. Absolutely could be. Absolutely could be. John Famlor. Holy F, you guys are discussing this story. Why would we not be?
Yeah, why? I don't understand.
Tarrant County SMU boy says, gulp, gulp. Love it. Love it. Why? I think this is the biggest story in sports today.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Matt Ritson for $5. This boneheaded by the ACC. Add the Three Stooges to the conference so to get monopoly money from SMU. SMU does bring money.
Yeah.
There's no question. SMU brings money and relationships. And when you're as bad as they are athletically over the last 15 years, you would better bring money and relationships.
Yeah.
Because until they start winning consistently, and by the way, good luck winning in the ACC basketball circles, because that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I know they say they have Dallas on the front of there.
Right.
I'll stop. Lance Johnson. Lance, good morning for $4.99. Congrats to Utah on its manhandling of Florida last night. Big 12 already flexing its new muscles. Indeed.
Uncle Rio.
How about it? Without Cam Rising and without Brant Keithy. How about Utah dominating Florida last night?
Yeah, it wasn't really all that close, was it? Like
it was not close at all.
Did you watch this game and Brant Keithy, Cam Rising not out there? Bryson Barnes obviously doing his thing. Money Parks with the, obviously with the bomb to start the game.
How about Bryce Martin calling that?
Yeah, dude.
Our guy Bryce Martin on the show yesterday called that.
Yeah, and I think that it's, it was great to see. I mean, honestly, it was great to see. Like, the strategy offensively for Utah was different than what I was expecting. I was expecting Kyle Whittingham to be the same old Kyle Whittingham we know and love, which he was last night, defensively speaking. But offensively, to come out and have that bomb and be good with an aggressive offense was great to see.
How about my guy Nate Johnson?
Yeah.
That's the quarterback of the future at Utah.
Yes, it is.
Matt Riley for $2. I'm so confused. Monty is on at 7 a.m. Well, Pim's going Pim.
Well, have you been listening to the show? Because that tells me that, you're out of your element.
We told you that today's a travel day for us because it's the Labor Day holiday. So please enjoy some not labor time this weekend. But we're going to be out of town.
Having fun is the name of the game.
Packing up the golf clubs and going golfing. In Los Angeles this weekend. So flying first class.
Yeah.
It's, as I said, Pim's going to Pim.
If you ain't first, you're last.
It's what I do. Jake will be in the cargo hold. But my point is, we're off on a little venture this weekend. So, yes, we are doing, and it worked out perfectly because ACC Expansion happened this morning at about 5 a.m. Pacific time. Corey Erickson for $5. Calford are not looking out for their producers. The students make the product, and this is all about money for administrators. Just a bad move. 100% I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Cleveland Rocks for $5. Thanks, Disney and Spectrum, for screwing over college football fans last night. Oh, boy.
Dude, that was cold.
Started watching the Utah game, and Disney cut the cord, those bastards. Here's what happened.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Spectrum has been refusing to pay ESPN. This is not ESPN's fault, but I understand why people are pissed. Spectrum is a major TV distributor in this country. Spectrum Sportsnet.
Yeah.
They have been refusing to pay ESPN. So ESPN said, okay, well, we're going to turn you off. So it was shocking because Spectrum is the largest distributor of digital sports streaming content which is exactly where ESPN's trying to be.
Yeah.
But why would you work for free if you're ESPN? Spectrum didn't want to pay ESPN, so ESPN cut them off. It's no different than the old TV days of a carriage dispute.
Yeah.
And my guess is it'll get worked out quickly because people were pissed.
Yeah.
But I'd remind you, this is not a Disney ESPN problem. This is a Spectrum problem.
That's right, T.
Spectrum wants a massive discount. They think they have leverage. ESPN said they don't.
Yeah, how'd that leverage work out for you when the premier football game of the night got turned off?
Whew. People were pissed.
They know reset.
Dude, I feel you, dude. Makes me wonder, Hero75 for $5 says, make me wonder about Miami and Duke. I could see them as more of a target for conferences than FSU. FSU seems like too much of a pain to deal with. I agree.
Well, too much of a pain to deal with, not enough winning. I mean, again, if you're winning, nobody cares how much of a a-hole you are because you win and you make them money. So, if you win, like, as an example, everybody and their mom has FSU as a top 10 team this year on the football field, and they're really good, and everything's amazing.
Hey, can you guys ask your moms where they're at?
You are not.
Where are you guys at on Florida State? Mom? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I should text Mrs. Monty. How good do you think Florida State will be this
He
year?
has our full respect.
No, they don't. But you're not wrong. Florida State has a lot of
people think that they're going to be amazing this year. And hey, maybe they will. And you're damn right. I'm watching that LSU Florida State game, which we're going to discuss later in the showroom today.
It's one of our locks today.
But I just think that, dude, winning buys you so many luxuries, and that would include being a pain in the ass. And Florida State just hasn't won enough to warrant it.
They haven't. And I think Florida State being a 2-point dog to LSU, that game's in Orlando, by the way, is huge. Huge. Did you guys see the bounce house last night? Anybody pay attention to the UCF? I know they suck and nobody cares about them.
Waves in opposition.
Yeah, somebody told you to watch out for them. My guy, John Rice. If you're an announcer in college football, how do you get the quarterback's name right? Get
His
the defensive
name isn't
tackle.
Rice.
Listen, if you have a bunch of polys on the defensive line and mispronounce their names. Suamata, your mama, I totally get it. Right? Like, there are tough names out there. John Reese Plumlee is not a difficult name to pronounce.
And his name is John Cena.
It's not John Cena. It's John Reese. It's John. How are they getting that wrong? We'll have locks for you. Colorado, TCU, Texas Tech. Does Texas Tech go to Laramie and cover the 14?
They did a thing on the Utah-Florida game last night. They had a graphic that said that Laramie is 7,000 feet above sea level.
I'm warning you, Texas Tech. I am warning you. Are in danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Yeah. I'm warning you.
Yeah.
This is a danger game. Danger game. Matt Riley for $5. No, Jake, I haven't been listening. I flew to Salt Lake City to watch Utah crush Florida. Go Utes.
Hey,
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
That's a see,
you tell him, Matt.
See, unlike Florida State, that's a winning comment.
Get him.
See? That's a winning comment.
Matt Ritson for $5. ASU won games by 3 lightning and sandstorm. Did you guys see the haboob? Do you guys know what a haboob is? No, it's not like. Anyway, my point is, a haboob is a dust storm.
Yeah.
They had to empty Sun Devil Stadium because of a dust storm.
It's not Sun Devil Stadium.
Yeah,
it's always not.
Screw you.
This case is empty.
Ray Anderson, you're a devil.
Empty. The opposite of full.
Literally a devil. A devil.
Okay.
Let's see who's in on the old comment machine this morning. Oh, hey, mid Callaway McCluskey.
Yeah, can we talk about? Well, no, it's fine. No.
Mayor McCluskey outplayed us last week.
No, he did not. It was even. It was even.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
BYU wins this weekend, 104-6. Well, you better get those wins while you can.
Yeah, and I shoot a 64.
You better get those wins. You better get those wins while you can. MJ Bissett, good morning. He says, except for greed. Okay. Mike Smith, SMU has pre-printed acceptance letters with a blank spot to type in the name of a new conference.
It's boilerplate at this point.
Pam. Okay.
Guys.
Okay, phone's ringing. Is it the ACC? What am I putting on this line?
The ink isn't dry yet.
Did we get the donors' permission to put something on this line? All hat, no oil. That's very true. Derek Myrie, wonderful news for SMU Eagles. They are now a P4 school. Are they, though?
Yeah.
Are they?
Hey, you're in the ACC.
How long until SMU finishes in the top 25? In the 9 years where they don't get shit for TV money.
That's not the point, right?
But absolutely it's the point. If you're a P5, oh, yeah, hey, bro. Hey, man, we've got cattle under the hat now. We're all hat and cattle. Hey, but you guys aren't getting any money from TV or media rights. Well, that doesn't matter. Why pay for the cow if the milk's free?
What really do we have to lose?
Are you really a P4 school? You're not getting P4 money. You're not going to win games on a P4 level. What is SMU?
A school that's never going to win that has access to the college football playoff.
SMU works in the house of rich people. SMU's that server in the restaurant, like that 5-star steakhouse. You're the waiter that serves all the rich people that get the T-bone, and you're in back eating grizzle.
Ronnie, please.
That's who SMU is. SMU is the guy at the car wash washing Boss Frog's Porsche Taycan. That's who SMU is. SMU is the trash man that's like, oh, wow, look at that 75-inch TV box. That's who SMU is.
Right.
You're a housekeeper. That's who SMU is.
Well, and I guess we're going to see just how good the marketing department is.
And
right?
I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I've waited a ton of tables in my life. Trust me, I know the feeling.
But no one's going to disrespect me.
That yar who yar. When you agree not to take TV money for 9 years, you're a thirsty girl, man.
But what are they supposed to do? And this is the conundrum, right? I don't disagree. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I just don't think SMU, and furthermore, schools on SMU's level, have another choice. I mean, literally, the only reason SMU could do this is because they have that money
Jake,
just sitting there.
You know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to win football games. You're supposed to win basketball games. If no, it's too early for a Monty rant.
Oh, please! You're tired of the cool kid on the block getting an invite?
You guys, okay, 3:00 meeting in Dallas County to count all the money.
Dallas County.
It's a 3:00 meeting in Dallas County, which is different than Tarrant County. 3:00 meeting, Dallas County. Let's count all the money in the till at the collective.
Yes, you did.
Okay?
Yes, you did.
And we're all getting new Stetson hats. Okay? And I'm just telling you, we've got a ton of money. Hey, SMU, how are you? I'm good, man. You know how much money we have? That's
You
who
ought to
SMU
know.
is.
You bought it.
Yeah, SMU's like, oh, hey, man, aren't you guys the Mustangs? No, we're the rich guys. We have all the money. Hey, what was your record on the football field last year? Don't give a shit. We've got a ton of money. Well, okay. Where'd you go to school? Doesn't matter. I'm rich. Like, that's who SMU is. They're the guy that's like, oh, yeah, why don't you go in the kitchen and eat the grizzle because we've got all the money.
Yeah.
The problem is you're the joker. You're the one you're just going to try and cause havoc and you're going to burn all that money. You literally stacked up all of your money in the middle of the room and threw a match on it. And it's burning because it's not going to make you any.
You see, I'm a guy of simple taste.
We're getting distributions from the college football playoff. I'm feeling myself. Oh, my God. Eric Dickerson's back. They're driving Trans Ams, bro. Craig James. Pony Express, motherfuckers. We're back. Okay, but back to what? Back
to front.
In the next 9 years, is SMU ever ranked in the top 25 in football?
No.
In the next 9 years, does SMU play for the ACC basketball championship?
No.
In the next 5 years, does SMU go to the NCAA tournament?
Potentially.
No. So just go ahead and let me know. What are you a P4? I'm tired of SMU fan in the comment section. Oh, my God. It says Dallas right here on the front of our uniform. SMU delivers Dallas.
That's right, T.
So now all of a sudden, forget about, I don't know, Texas A&M, UT, Steve Sarkisian. No, not going there. Not going to TCU. Not going to play in Lubbock. Not going to arguably the most dangerous team in Texas. Nope. We're going to SMU because they're in the ACC. It's a pipeline, bro. It's a UTSA. Nobody cares. Screw Dana Holgerson. We're going to SMU because it's a pipeline to the national championship in the ACC. Oh, my God. Free tickets to Cameron Indoor? Yeah, I'm not going to Texas to play football. I'm going to go see Duke basketball at SMU. Do you understand this isn't real life? SMU doesn't mean a thing.
So then why are they doing this?
Because I think they want to tell people how much money they have.
Uh-huh.
And, hey, UTSA, those little guys down there in San Antonio.
Hey, little guy.
They're not in Dallas County. We're in a P4. We're SMU. 4 horsemen, bitches.
I'm for real.
Like that's what I feel like SMU wants to do.
Yeah, maybe.
Tell me I'm wrong. Because I don't see SMU's profile just automatically shooting up. Well, oh man, that's really cool. We get to have lunch with Bubba Cunningham at North Carolina.
I'm so bricked up right now.
Do we get free Jordans, bro?
Powder blue.
What did this do for SMU? I understand it with Stanford and Cal. You're P5, you want to stay P5. Okay, totally cool. You've got money coming out your sphincter at Stanford. Okay, cool.
But see, that's the difference, isn't it? The only difference, and I say the only, but the major difference between SMU and Stanford is they were already a P5. It's Stanford, which on its own is a big deal, and they have one of the best athletic departments in the country that's universally respected.
Yep.
Those three things are major differences between Stanford and Cal. So between Stanford and SMU. So SMU fan rolling out here like, oh, we're the same as Stanford. We're pretty much the same. Stanford never wins anything, and Stanford's nothing. Well, that's not true. Dude, Stanford's one of the most prestigious universities in the country, and everybody knows it. And that's why you are not Stanford.
I agree. Brandon Butler says, rocking the cherry candy bucked up this morning. Cherry candy is my new favorite flavor. I'm telling you that right now. If you haven't got the cherry candy bucked up, you're missing out. Jeremy Bolton, excuse me. Mayor Bolton. Hey, you just used epidemiology, and Mrs. would be so proud. Stay hard.
Stay hard.
You're welcome. It's what I do, man. Here's the reality. This will blow up the ACC. Yeah, I agree. 100%. OG Gary, what's up, Gary? Big can get Notre Dame, UNC, Stanford, and Duke. But the issue is that the ACC is doing this so that they can remain a conference, because they are going to negotiate an exit for Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. So they are adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. That's why they're doing it. So we'll see. I don't
So you're
know.
still losing. You're just losing at a slower rate.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Whataburger. Yeah.
Whataburger. Water ice.
B says, guys.
Guys.
Bryce Martin, what did I tell y'all yesterday about that 70-yard bomb? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Absolutely. No doubt. Jeremy Bolton says, Bishop Sycamore could have beat the Gators last night, but they didn't. Utah did.
Bishop Sycamore.
The
Bro,
Utes.
Bishop Sycamore was on ESPN, bro.
That's wild.
How?
I don't know. OG Gary, imagine a fully healthy Utah. We would have smoked the Gator Nuggets. You would have. And
Yeah,
you
did
will.
anyone have Gator last night?
Stop. MJ Bissett, ACC getting what they paid for. When the conference blows up, SMU will be holding a bag that used to have their money in it, and it will be empty.
But now it will have a P4 token in it.
Which is cool. Isn't that like Bitcoin or Dogecoin? Doge to the moon, bro.
Oh, don't to the moon, man.
Dale Donuts, that was mediocre football all around with all teams except UCF. ASU almost beaten by Southern Utah. Seriously.
Almost doesn't count.
There was not mediocre football by Utah last night.
No.
Utah's defense,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I'll sit here for the rest of my life. Every day that we do this show for the rest of my life. Don't you dare threaten me, sir. I'll do it. I will sit here every day and espouse about the greatness of Kyle Whittingham, who last night in the post-game interview with Amid Holly Rowe said, wow, we had our Thursday night football all to ourselves. Yeah, I don't know how many people realize we actually play football out here. My guy Witt taking his shot, and I love him for it because he's right. He's right. Last night, I know it sounds crazy. They've won the Pac-12 back-to-back years, gone to the Rose Bowl and shit. Totally
Nobody
get it.
cares.
Last night, Utah football arrived.
Yes.
Without their starting quarterback, without their best offensive player, Utah football arrived last night.
Yes.
Because they beat the hell out of Florida. Physically dominated Florida. They were faster than Florida. They were more physical than Florida. They were more prepared than Florida.
Yeah, the equipment penalty on Florida, that's a bad look.
How do you have 2 number 3s on the field? Basic math, dude.
Nice job.
Derek Myrie, SMU will win the ACC in 5 years. No chance. No chance. Not going to happen.
No.
T. Lawrence. What's up, T. Lawrence? Good to see you. Spectrum subscribers can't watch ESPN Disney. They're locked in a negotiation standoff.
Hey,
frustrating as hell.
Do you guys know what YouTube TV is? You ever heard of that?
I love it. Mrs. Monty and I were watching a 4-box last night.
Oh, yeah.
You're a sicko, sir. Get therapy. We're watching a 4-box last night with all the college football. I mean, it's awesome. We're at one point flipping around. Like I know it now, and I love it.
Yeah.
YouTube TV is amazing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love having it. Love it. Tarrant County, SMU boy. Bishop Sycamore will be making more money than SMU. Yes, they will. Marcus, what's up, Marcus Emmert? Good to see you. Nebby is back from last year. Could be. Tarrant County, row the boat. Exactly. Mayor McCluskey says Spectrum. Yes, Spectrum. Dale Donuts, I love YouTube streaming. God bless dedicated home fiber. Indeed.
Yeah.
Corey Erickson, followed your advice. Just ordered the Bucked bars for the first time.
Let's go.
Wife said yes to trying them for our weight loss journey. I love them. I have a full. It's all I do, you guys.
Yeah.
The Buck bars, and the thing I love about the Buck bars from Bucked Up, there's a link for a variety pack below. The thing I love about the Buck bars is they taste like candy bars, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate protein bars. Dude, I've tried so many protein bars, and I hate them all. The Buck bar actually is a protein bar I really like.